Hello again. Last week I only posted the finger funk bass part tutorial that I have played in the Charles Berthoud Halloween bass collab. Some asked me to do the tutorial of the slap part, and I felt so excited doing it. It's a funky slap bass line, enjoy it and do it well. This slap bass line is a little bit complicated and it has a lot of independence, like left and right techniques. Okay? So before starting the bass line, I want to give you like a small exercise for you to get used to it in a way. And don't put pressure on yourself. Like take your time doing the bass line. It might take a day, 2 days, I don't know, maybe an hour for some or two. Start with this exercise. You do a hammer-on the D, okay, and a hammer-on the D octave. So D and D octave, and in between you do that with the right hand. So D, muted slap, muted pop, D, downstrum, upstrum, downstroke, upstroke. So get this strumming technique, you can do it with 3 fingers, 2 fingers. 1 finger is not so cool to do it with. 2 fingers or 3 fingers. I usually do it with my whole hand. It depends on, like, you will find your flow, you will find the way you feel comfortable with. Okay? So hammer on the D, muted slap, muted pop, hammer on the D, downward, upward, strumming, down and up. Take your time with it and then move to the slap bass line. This bass line is divided in 2 bars, D minor and the G minor. But in between I have a passing note for a B flat that takes me to the G and a C that takes me to the D. Okay? So the bass line starts. Hammer on the D. Muted thumb, muted slap, and muted pop. The same exercise that I gave you before. Octave, downward, upward. Downstroke, upstroke. Downstrum, upstrum. After that, I do a hammer on the G. Downward slap. On the G, like hammer on, and I slap again on the G. Hammer on the A, upward slap, muted pop. So the whole thing again, hammer on the D, slap a mute, pop a mute, hammer on the octave of the D, down strumming, upward strumming, hammer on the G, downward slap on the G, hammer on the A, muted slap reverse, I go back, and I finish it with a muted slap and a muted pop. So the whole thing is until here. After doing the muted slap muted pop, I do a hammer on the D and a tapping on the 19th fret, the A and the D note. D, tapping, hammer on the B flat, I slap the B flat again and I go to the G. When I hit the G as a hammer on, I hit the G, slap muted, pop muted. The pop I do it on the G string and the slap muted on the E string. Octave. The same thing that I did here, like hammer on, slap muted, hammer on the octave of the D, down and up. Here I do the same. G, octave G, in between. G, muted slap, muted pop. Octave G, down and up. I can do the muted pop on the G string or on the D string. It doesn't matter. Until here. I hit the 5th. Okay. I want to go to the C. In between the C and the 5th of the G, there is a muted slap. So here I do different variations. I can do that. I want to go back to the D. I can do, or I can do the same as I did in the video. The first one is C, slap a mute, pop a mute, C, slap a mute, pop a mute, C sharp, slap a mute, pop a mute, C sharp octave, slap a mute, pop a mute, and I hit the D again. I'm gonna do that variation for you. The second variation is E flat and D. It's more difficult than the first one. What you have to do is so you do 2 muted pops. Okay, so E flat, slap a mute, 2 muted pops, E flat octave, slap a mute, 2 muted pops. E flat, slap a mute, 2 pops, E flat, slap a mute, 2 pops, D, slap, mute, 2 pops, D octave, slap, muted slap, 2 pops. So the whole line, the whole bass line, all right, enjoy it and have fun and take your time. Don't put pressure on yourself. Take it easy. Do every technique slowly and take your time with it. And once you feel like you're doing it in an easy flow, move on with the bass line. Thank you.